Namaste, welcome back to Filmy Bites with Bivi, a show where we talk about some wonderful filmmakers and review rate their work in our show. But before we start, I want you to hit the subscribe and the bell icon buttons so that you can get all our updates as we post them. With that note, without any further ado, let's get right into the show. Today we have a very interesting episode for you. Let's start our episode with a Telugu short film, Locked. Locked is a Telugu short comic experimental fantasy film. With a screen time of 28 minutes 35 seconds, the film is hosted on Lucky Face Entertainment YouTube channel. The premise of the film is a derivation or a visual explanation of a famous belief in India called karma or karma siddhanta. In simple words, the mistakes we commit, knowingly or unknowingly, will always return back to us to teach us the effects of our deeds. But basically, the story starts with this young man getting up in the morning, starting his day. The young man shares his apartment with his friend who is dumb and deaf, and he is a bit scared as he comes to know that there is a theft that happened in the neighborhood. When this news is told to the young man ignores it and tells this roommate not to be scared of anything and starts continuing his day as he has to go and attend an interview that is happening that day. That is exactly when roommate says that he is going to his hometown and will be back in a couple of days. Making fun of this roommate, the young man gets up, gets ready and leaves to that interview. In the meantime, this roommate gets into his room, opens a shelf where he has saved some money. He takes out money and he's counting. On the other side, where this young man is walking on road, a biker splashes mud water onto him. Unable to do anything, the young man decides to come back to his room, change his dress as he has to go to an interview. He comes back and goes into the room to clean and change the dress. As he is cleaning and changing his dress, the other friend unknowingly locks every door and goes to his hometown. As he is scared, he makes sure that every room is locked. Unknowingly, the protagonist of the movie is locked in his room. Now when the young man comes out of the room, he understands that he is being locked by his scared roommate. He tries to come out of this room. Now what happens next? Will he ever escape from this room? If yes, then how? Why is he in this situation? What is karma has to do with this entire story is the rest of the film. Now moving on to the technicality of the film. The film is directed by Mr. Manish, Pamu. The film totally is a very nice experimentation. I remembered a Bollywood movie called Trapped when I was watching this movie. But then adding on the comedy flavor to this kind of movie is really a very interesting thing to watch as it enhances the viewer interest onto the movie. I personally felt the intensity of the film can be handled in much better way, but then whatever they did was entertaining. The closing and the opening lines of the film are very intense and the direction department made sure that intensity is carried out through the film. The actor of the film really did a nice job, but then at few monologues, I think he could have performed much better. Moving on to the camera, DOP Mr. Manish Pamu and Praneeth Pamu did a decent job. As most of the film is mainly focused on one character, I can understand how hard it is for them to engineer these shots. But then this is the opportunity where you have a huge space to experiment with your angles, camera and techniques. And I see that this team has utilized it very well. But then, I think they should have worked more on focus pulls. There was a sequence where they could have implemented zoom in, focus out or focus in, zoom out. A lot of other things. Actually, focus and zoom out or zoom in, focus out was the best technique that they could have implemented some dramatic situations or the shots that could have enhanced this film to the next level. I'm sure these shots will take some time, but then if you can implement this in your next movie, I'm sure your cinematic experience or the visual experience that you are going to give your audience will be enhanced to the next level. Now moving on to the editing. Unfortunately, I could not find the name of the editor, but then I must say the editing job was decent enough. Some very nice cuts and transactions can be seen in the film, but then if we are talking about the color, I think there was not much work done on the color. Frankly, I am sure the film could have been color graded in much more cinematic way. The biggest drawback of the film, I must say, is the length of this film. The massive 28 minutes 35 seconds is not an easy task for any short film maker to convince their audience to sit and watch it till the end. Especially a genre where you have only one character and it is very evident that the film gets too predictable after a point of time. Though I must say the filmmakers have done a great job at the beginning in tying up their audience to the screens. But then once this guy gets trapped, it was very predictable to understand the core concept of the film. That may disconnect your audience from your movie. To sum up, this is a great experimentation. Adding comedy to this genre is a challenge well taken and well executed by the whole team. But because of its lengthy screen time and the color that is a bit disturbing to eye, will lose your audience interest on the movie. But then appreciating the whole team's great efforts and wishing them all the best here at Filmy Bites with UV, I rate this movie a 3-star in our show. All the best.
Locked. Locked is a concept where a person is getting locked and due to some reasons he's trying to get out, and you see a lot of scenarios which is being faced by him. What are those? Why he's being locked inside a house? How, whether he come out? How will we come out? Etc. etc. Are the questions which will be answered in this short film. To start with, the concept wise of the director was good. A different concept which was shown or thought of, but it could have been narrated in a lot more crisper manner, because the main drawback of this film is the lengthiness of this short film. If the director could have cut shorter or trim few things, even in editing when it comes, if they could have concentrated on those timelines, it would have been much better. Cinematography was a decent job, but there are some places where the sounds were a little bit low, or they could have worked a little bit more on the sounds. So those are the things which the team could have been noticed, and if they would have noticed that, it could have gone to a next level. With this, I rate Locked a 2.5 out of 5. Good luck.
Now moving on to the second film review of the week. With the screen time of 7 minutes 5 seconds, posted on Peace Sago YouTube channel, our next movie is a Tamil romantic drama, Kathir Dial Seydha Yenn. The film is about this guy who during lockdown realizes that he still loves this girl who he had broken up with in the past. So he calls her up to tell that he still loves her. Now during the conversation, the guy points at her possessiveness and tells that they have ended up their relationship as she was too possessive about him. But the girl disagrees with this statement and says that it is not about her possessiveness, but it was because of his angry attitude that their relationship landed in this situation. Now, how will this conversation end? Will this conversation change the status of this relationship? Is this story going to have a happy ending? Is the rest of the story. Now let's look at the technical details of the film. The film is written and directed by Mr. Rajan Jaipal, where the film had a great thought. I could see a lot of influence of Mr. Gautam Vasudeva Menon's work on this. Frankly, I felt this is a cheap mimic of his work. Unfortunately, the director has implemented so much of Gautam Vasudeva Menon's ideology or look-alike that we cannot find the originality of director's skills in this movie, which is a backfire for the movie. The story ends with the most common ending that one can come up with, and that again is the biggest disappointment in this movie. Most of the times I noticed that actor was not in a mood or was very dull, very low in energy to project his expressions, and this is exactly why I always advise makers to organize some workshops before you can get into the sets. This will enhance your actor, enable him to understand his character and enact exactly to the rhythm of this story. Now moving on to the camera. Cinematographer Vasu did his job okay. But then I see most of the times camera was either shaky or the most weird low angles did not work out at all. I noticed none of the frames were having a proper lighting, and a constant movement of these characters really were disturbing to eye. The sound and editing of the movie was not really balanced. Most often the sound was so loud that we cannot listen to the dialogues that were delivered by this boy. In short, the film had a great point and a wonderful storyline. But in order to implement someone else's style into the movie, the makers lost their own essence of reality and originality of the film. And also the poor technicality and lengthy screen time will lose audience concentration from the movie. But then we cannot ignore the efforts given by the team to this movie. Appreciating the whole team's biggest efforts and wonderful teamwork. Here at Filmy Bites with UV, I rate this film a 2-star in our show. All the best.
Kathir style Seydha Yenn. இது ஒரு கௌதம் மேனனோட அடாப்டேஷன் ஷார்ட் ஃபிலிம். ஸோ அதில் கார்த்திக் டயல் செய்த என் அதோட அடாப்டேஷன் தான்ட்டு ஸ்டார்டிங்கில் தெரிய வருது. ஆல்மோஸ்ட் அதே மாதிரி தான் எடுத்திருக்காங்க தி ஸ்டோரி வைஸ். ஸோ ரொம்ப பெருசாக ஒன்றும் நம்ம அதை பற்றி டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்குள்ள இட்ஸ் ஆல்மோஸ்ட் லைக் since it's adaptation, it's almost like that. Story wise it was the same, and background voice BGM வந்து ரொம்ப லவுடாக இருக்குது. ஸோ உங்களுக்கு டயலாக்ஸ் நீங்கள் பேசும்போது அந்த பிஜிஎம் லவுடாக இருக்கிறதுனால ஒரு சில டயலாக்ஸ் எல்லாம் வந்து கேட்க முடியல. இந்த சென்ஸ் லைக் பிஜிஎம் வந்து டயலாக்கை ஓவர்டேக் பண்ணுறது ஆர் ஓவர்லோட் பண்ணுறது ஆர் ஓவர்லேப் பண்ணுறது, இப்படி வேணாலும் சொல்லலாம். கௌதம் மேனன், எஸ், ஹீஸ் அ ப்ரொஃபஷ்னல் இனஃப். ஸோ உங்களுக்கு அந்த ஒரு சினிமாட்டோகிராஃபியை அழகாக தெரியும் நார்மலாகவே எல்லா ஜிவிஎம் மூவியில். பட் இங்கே அதே மாதிரி பார்த்துருக்கலாம், ஒரு வேளை அதே ஆங்கிள்ஸ் கூடயும் எடுத்துருக்கலாம், ஒரு பெட்டர் லொக்கேஷன்ஸ்க்கு போயிருக்கலாம். Instead of few things. Yes, there are some challenges which the director could have faced. Avna when you and ஒரு அடாப்டேஷன் எடுக்கும்போது கொஞ்சமாவது நம்ம வந்து அட்லீஸ்ட் அங்கே நம்ம அதோட இது காட்டலாம், தப்பே இல்லை அதில். ஸோ எனிவேஸ் அது நீங்கள் வந்து அதுலேருந்து தான் எடுக்கிறீங்க அந்த கான்செப்ட். ஸோ உங்களுக்கு பெருசாக ஒன்றும் ஸ்கோப் இல்லை. பட் டெஃபினட்டாக நீங்கள் வந்து லாட் மோர் ஆங்கிள்ஸ் சூஸ் பண்ணுங்கள், லாட் மோர் க்ரியேட்டிவ் வேஸ் ஆஃப் ஷோயிங் தட் பர்டிகுலர் திங்ஸ் கேன் பி டன். நான் நிறைய ரீமேக் படமே நம்ம பார்த்துருக்கோம், நிறைய அடாப்டிவ் படமே பார்த்துருக்கோம். தே சேஞ்ச் ஃபியூ திங்ஸ் இன் தட் விச் டைரக்டர் வந்து நோட்டீஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கலாம். With this, I rate in the movie 2 out of 5. Good luck.
Now that brings us to Filmy Bites foreign film review of the week. And this week's foreign film is a Pakistani film, Molvi ki Bivi. The translation of the name is The Preacher's Wife. With a screen time of 10 minutes 21 seconds, the film is hosted on Mirza Films YouTube channel. The story begins at a dhaba where these two friends meet each other and they are talking to each other. One of the guys says that he needs a help from the other one. When as this guy says that he is in love with this preacher's wife and he asks help from this other guy. The other guy is surprised and asks him what can he do. That is when the guy says that he wants this friend to go to namaz, and after namaz he wants to keep this preacher busy by asking some questions, so that in the meantime this guy can go and have an affair with this preacher's wife. With a lot of hesitation, this friend finally accepts for this and starts going to namaz every day. On the other hand, this other friend is romancing with this preacher's wife. Now, as days pass by and as this other friend is regular to namaz, he starts feeling guilty about himself. Now, what will this guilty guy do? Will the Molvi ever comes to know about his wife's affair? What happens to this couple? How exactly is this story gonna end? Is an interesting ending given to this movie. Now moving on to the technicality of the film. The movie is written by Inam Samijo and directed by Mirza Afzal Beg. The point of the movie is almost similar to the first movie that we have reviewed. It is kind of a representation of Karma Siddhanta, where you do something wrong and you have to bear the effects of this particular mistake all by yourself. I really like the storyline of the film, but somewhere I felt that the film could have been ended in much better and much clearer fashion. A screen time of 10 minutes 21 seconds is massively too long to watch, especially when your film is almost filled with musical montages. I really appreciate the big twist at the end that comes unexpected. But somewhere I was not happy with this visual anti-message that I understood while I was watching this movie. I totally understand that there is a subtext and a hidden message in the movie, but then it takes a lot of patience to analyze the complete movie so that you can understand the subtext of the film. Now moving on to camera, I could not see any camera department names in the film, but I must say they did a decent job. I only advise them to update their light techniques, because in the low light scenes I could see a lot of graining is happening on screen. Even at the highest resolutions I could see a lot of graining happening on the screen. So I suggest you work on the light techniques. Now moving on to editing. Editing done by Abu Bakr Siddiqui was really decent. Some very nice cuts can be seen in the film. But when it comes to color, I must say that their choice of color was not really that pleasant to the eye. Frankly, the warm yellow colors were really making my eyes tired while I was watching this film. I think a bit colder colors like yellows or the greens could have enhanced the visual impact for your audience to watch this movie. In short, the movie had a great unsaid message and a wonderful thought embedded into the film. If only they work a bit more on their technical skills and shorten their movie size, I'm sure this movie is going to reach to the next level. Appreciating the whole team's effort and waiting for their next movie to be reviewed in our show, here at Filmy Bites with UV, I rate this film a 2.5 star in our show. All the best.
Preacher's Wife. Preacher's Wife is a short film where a person is in love with a preacher's wife. So he ask his friend to help him out, to keep the preacher occupied so that he can express his love to his lover, that is the preacher's wife. Whether he will express this love, whether the plan will be succeed, or whether the preacher will come to know about it, and if he comes to know about it, what will happen is the rest of the stories. Story wise, it was decent and simple, but there is a lot more scope for the people who are acting on that. The people who have acted or casted in this movie, when they do the dialogue delivery, it's just like just telling the dialogue, not enacting it. So before they could have gone or shot this film, they could have gone with some homeworks like rehearsals where you show the body language, or the director rehearses how that scene should come out from that particular cast. Those kind of things could have been looked at. When it comes to visuals, it was rich enough, which was a decent job done by the cinematographer or the editor or the color correction guy. Everyone did their part well, but these are the few things which the director could have noticed and could have implied maybe a little more of speediness or a little twist in the story could have enhanced the film to a better one. With this, I rate this short film a 1.5 out of 5. Good luck.
Now guys, that brings us to the end of the show. Hope you enjoyed the episode today, and as always, you can watch all these movies that we just reviewed by hitting the link given in the description below. I personally request you to watch all these movies and write to us what are your thoughts on these movies. And guys, if you are a filmmaker yourself and wants us to review your film in our show, all you have to do is get into our description below, hit one of the social networking links given in the description below, and send us your film link along with a poster, and write to us that you want us to review your film in our show, and we will do it. You can also be a part of our WhatsApp group where we have a lot of filmmakers who keep discussing about films and sharing their work. You can be a part of our WhatsApp group by hitting the link given in the description below. With that note guys, till we meet next time with some wonderful filmmakers and their work that we are going to review and rate in our show. This is me, Uday, signing off. Namaskar.